Pulling out the coupe at the lot. Going for 12 for a swat. Busting all the bells out the box. Hit the lick with the box. Had to put the stick in the box.
What's up, guys? Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. In today's video, I'm finally going to be giving you guys a review on these Nike Mercurial Vapor 14 Elite AG cleats. And as you can tell from the studs, these are different compared to your firm ground cleats. The AG studs actually have holes in them versus where the firm ground cleats are solid. And as you can tell, the firm ground cleats actually have less studs and the AGs have a couple extra studs on them. So in this video, I'm going to explain why I made this switch from firm grounds to AGs, and the rest of the video is going to be me finishing, dribbling, doing some passing, and doing a voiceover over those parts, explaining how the shoe and the cleats performs and how it feels while doing those certain movements. But this beginning portion, I'm just going to explain why I made the switch and whether you should too. So the reason why I made the switch from firm grounds to AGs in the first place is because I developed a stress fracture, and the reason why is because I've been training on a lot of turf fields recently, and they're not new turf fields, they're very worn out turf fields. And anyone that knows how it feels to play on these worn turf fields is that you feel your joints feel a little bit sore the next day. So I was practicing on turf fields twice a day for like 5 days a week, and that's how I developed that stress fracture, and the impact was just a lot on my joints. So once I made the switch over to AGs, I felt a huge relief in the area where my stress fracture was and just in my joints in general. And ever since then, I've been healthy, I've been getting back in shape, and I don't feel the same soreness as I usually do. So if you're a player that has experienced knee pains, ankle pains, or any joint pains within your leg, I think switching over to AGs will be the best thing in terms of longevity for your joints. So just keep it simple. Highly recommend you invest in a pair of AGs. I know Adidas makes a pair, Nike has a couple pairs, but for this one, I actually had to do it custom made, so you had to spend a little bit more money, but I think it's worth the investment. I did a custom pair on Nike. These were about $280, so I know it's really expensive, but just keep in mind, if these rip within 2 years, you can send them back. They'll send you a voucher, and then you can reorder them again. But yeah, these cleats have done wonders for me, and it has really helped me get back into playing. And I was out for a couple months, so I think a lot of the older players really pushed me to getting these AGs. So I wish I knew about this earlier. I was just a little bit afraid that these AGs weren't going to perform as well as the firm grounds, but the AGs have amazing grip. The traction is just as good as the firm grounds, both on dry and wet turf. So if you're someone who's worried that the traction is not going to be that good, don't worry, these are going to perform really well for you. So if you want to keep on watching, you want to see me talk a little bit about how these cleats feel while finishing, dribbling, you just want to see me perform while wearing these cleats, just keep on watching. But I hope this short intro helps some people out whether they should make the switch over to AGs. So I highly recommend that if you're a player who plays a lot of games on turfs, practices on turf, I think AGs would be a very, very beneficial investment to your health. I think it's not just performance wise, I think it's going to be really good for your joints. With so many more turf fields being built in this area, I think it's it's a time where you really need to take care of yourself. And I think having a pair of AGs is really important. But also, you can still have firm ground cleats. I don't think there's anything wrong with firm ground cleats. I think they're both amazing. I just think this would be better in terms of for your joints. But I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the support. And if you have any questions or comments, just leave them down below and I'll answer them as soon as possible. I know I probably won't touch on everything about this cleat, but I've had these for a couple months now. I've put them through a lot of different things. As you're going to be seeing, have had so many practices in these cleats. So feel free to ask me any messages. about these cleats. And one more thing I want to touch on is these custom pair of Mercurial Vapors actually are a little bit wider than the regular Mercurial Vapor ones. So the ones that are not custom built, they're a little bit narrow, but this custom pair actually came and was a little bit wider fit, so just keep that in mind. Other than that, it felt about the same. Once you break these in, they feel really good. So thank you guys for watching. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. What's up, guys? So one of the first things that I noticed when I first put on these boots is that I could actually tell on the bottom of my foot that these didn't feel like, you know, your regular firm ground cleats, and that's because the AGs have a couple extra studs on the bottom. But after a couple weeks of, you know, doing some finishing, dribbling, jogging in them, and just breaking them in, they felt like any ordinary football boot. So give it some time and they'll feel, you know, pretty normal like any other boot that you have. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're to roll the ball, like let's say you do a rollover, just keep in mind that the grip isn't as grippy as your firm ground cleats are. But if you practice a little bit, you know, it's not the biggest difference. It's not like it's super slippery, but it's not super grippy like those firm ground cleats are. But overall, these boots felt amazing after a couple weeks of using them. It just took some time to get used to. They do not get stuck in turf, so you don't have to worry about them. And they provide some really good traction both on wet and dry turf. So that's something to, you know, I think it's a huge positive thing. But yeah, after a couple weeks of wearing these boots felt like any ordinary cleat. And when I switched, you know, between these and my firm ground cleats, you know, I didn't really see much of a difference. But the only thing I would recommend is that, you know, with any other boot, especially like the Mercurials, you know, it's going to take some time to break in. I didn't do the method where you put them in hot water. I just, you know, wore them for a couple of weeks, and I would say about a month in, that's when I started to feel like they really broke in. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the clips of me finishing. You know, these boots, they felt really good, and after a couple weeks I got used to it, and like I mentioned before, they felt great. And you know, I highly recommend wearing these both on turf and not on grass. So do not wear AGs on grass. These are just meant for turf fields, and I think it works really well, especially on like worn out turf fields, because it still provides you, you know, enough traction, but not too much traction where your studs are gonna get stuck, and it's gonna, you know, cause you to develop an injury or, you know, or something even worse. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of the clips, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So running with these cleats, doing some cuts, change of direction. I was like worried because I thought these weren't gonna have the same aggressive grip as those firm ground studs have. But I only had one slip up, and that's because the field was extremely wet. It was downpouring, and I ended up slipping on the turf field. But other than that, any other rainy condition, I've had no problems in slipping, even when I've taken when I planted my foot extremely hard into the ground. The cleats have held me up. So I think in terms of traction, you have nothing to worry about. I think these are going to hold up in pretty much any condition but in grass. So on turf, you should be perfectly fine. So juggling with these cleats feel really good, and there's really not much to say about these cleats. I think once it comes down to these pair of boots, once you break them in, I think they feel amazing, just like any pair of cleat. I don't think there's really any big difference or change between AGs and firm grounds once it comes to your first touch and control. The outside of these boots feel just the same as any regular firm ground cleat, so there's nothing to worry about in terms of your first touch and your juggling. So these boots feel really good, and once you break them in, I think your touch should be perfectly fine. So one of my biggest concerns is when I first tried on these AGs is that I thought the grip of the studs weren't going to be as good as my firm grounds. And when I first tried it on, I was having trouble gripping the ball when I was doing some rollovers and just playing around, dribbling. But after some time, I just, I got used to it, and eventually they felt like any other cleat. So I don't think there's really, a big difference when, in terms of grip of the ball or with the studs on the cleats. I think once you just wear them a couple times, I think they work just as well as any other pair of cleat. Just like I mentioned, with the juggling, I don't think there's no really big concern in terms of the traction of the cleat. And as you're gonna see, the traction looks really good. It looks natural. It almost looks like a firm ground cleat. I don't think there's a huge difference, so nothing to worry about. These are a great pair, and the grip works really well, both in wet conditions and dry conditions. So thank you guys for watching the video. I hope this gave you a better understanding of what the AG cleats are like. And if you do plan on making that switch from firm grounds to AGs, I hope it's a very smooth transition. These cleats have really helped me come back from my injury, and I think it's going to really help a lot of other players who especially train and play games on turf fields. I think it's going to be very beneficial for your joints. So thank you again, guys, for all the support. If you have any questions or concerns or want to learn more about these, how these cleats are holding up, comment down below and feel free to message me whenever. So thank you guys again. Have a wonderful day, and it's a great day. Get better.
Dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette. Yeah. Riding around the city with a stick all black.